Very good. Welcome everyone to the Westfield Airport Commission meeting, Thursday, May 13th, 2021. First off, I'd like to make a quick statement. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting will be conducted via teleconference pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A 20, and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the City of Westfield Airport Commission will be conducted via remote participation. Specific information can be found on the City of Westfield website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so by tuning into channel 15 or channel 12 or online at westfieldtv.org or online at youtube.com Westfield Community Programming Channel. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post this on the city's websites, an audio recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after this meeting. So with that, I'd like to talk roll call of attending members. I am the airport chair, William Gannett. My other commissioners, Commissioner Keefe.
Here.
Commissioner Phelan.
Here.
Great. We also have our airport manager, Chris Wallenberg.
Good evening. Here.
And our airport engineering, ASG, and representing, I see Craig.
Yep, here. Thank you.
Great, great. So we got all that. Now we have a few other attendees, recognizing Bilazinski, counselor for the ward that's the airport is in. Jonathan Heine, I'm not sure where you're from.
I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts, if you can hear me.
Okay, and who are you representing?
A company I own called Spider Cuff.
Okay, Spider Cuff. Okay, thank you very much.
Can you see me?
I cannot.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, okay. And then I know Joe, I see Frederica. Okay, Ruth, Ruth is ASG, correct, Ruth?
That's correct. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm almost positive I didn't. You're not showing up. And last, Kathleen, who are you representing?
I'm just a citizen.
Okay, very good. Okay. Okay. That being done for the members, let's talk about it. First off, let's approve the outstanding minutes of the regular session of April 8th. Do I have a second for the approval?
Second.
Okay, Chris, we need roll call vote, please.
Sure. Chairman Gannett,
Yes.
Commissioner Keefe,
Yes.
Commissioner Phelan.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So on to section 4 of our agenda, public participation. Is there any? Okay, moving on. Special agenda items. Terminal building office space. And Chris, I'll let you lead this section, please.
Chairman, good evening. With us this evening also on the Zoom meeting is Tammy Teft. She is our purchasing director for the city of Westfield. I'm going to turn it over to her to give you a little bit of background, but this is in regards to office space that's located on the second floor of the airport terminal building, directly across from our offices. We did an RFI and we received 2 proposals. So I'll turn it over to you, Tammy. Thank you.
No problem. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us. Just a quick background. Chris and I had discussed the lease of space in the terminal building and how we wanted to approach it. we decided that the best course of action was a request for information or a request for interest in the space. So that went out at the beginning of April, and we opened up 2 proposals on April 27th. Both proposers are here tonight to give you a little bit of a background on what they're proposing to use for the site or for the space. And I think it'll give you kind of an idea of where each one was thinking for that office space. Once you guys finish tonight, then it would be, Chris would work directly with the city law department on any type of negotiations that you approve to move forward. If you have any questions on the proposal itself, on what we did, I'd be more than happy to share stuff with you guys. If not, Chris, I can turn it over back to you to introduce the 2 people that are here tonight.
Sure, sounds good. With us and the first presenter this evening from one of the proposals is Sasha Wolf. Sasha is with the Wolf Aviation Network. So Sasha, I see you're on. So we'll let you begin with your presentation.
Hey, everybody. My name is Sasha Wolf. I own Wolf Aviation Network. We are a company. We do 2 things. So one, we're developing an app very much like Facebook for the aviation community. That's more long-term plan. But the other thing is we own a flight simulator, an FAA-approved flight simulator. And we're proposing to put that in the office and make it available to everyone at the airport. I prepared a little PowerPoint, so if you guys would let me share the screen, then I'll, it's easier with pictures.
All set.
And everything. All right, let me get in here. Host disabled, so it's not letting me share. Let's try this again. Yeah, it says the host disabled participant screen sharing.
Can you help us out there?
Okay, try it again.
Let's try it again. Yep. It's on the video then. This one? Oh, no. Yeah, that's what I was saying. All right. Let's go to the first slide. So basically, this is just... let me get back. I'm having technical difficulties. All right, so this is the first slide. So this is just a picture of our flight simulator. On the left, you see kind of the size of it. So it has 3 55-inch screens. It's somewhat enclosed, but it's compliant with FAA regulations. They don't need to be like back in the days, the flight simulators had to be fully enclosed, but we're talking to the head of flight simulation at the FAA. His name is Marcel Bernard, and this satisfies that requirement. On the right side, you see basically a cockpit view. What's interesting, so this is an advanced flight simulator. We have, it simulates an advanced aircraft, and it can be configured. I'll get to the next slide real quick. Can be configured basically for 7 different, we could have done more, but we picked the most common airplanes. So we just recently added the seaplane as well, because Federica, I think, has expressed interest in doing some stuff with seaplanes. It's easy to configure. It's not like a Redbird, for example, where you have to unscrew the throttle quadrant and then hop in and screw in a Cessna throttle quadrant. What that is, for anyone that doesn't know, what the throttle quadrant is, basically the gas pedal, but for the, I'm sure you guys know, for an airplane. So the bottom one is a Cessna throttle quadrant, and the top would be, in this case, it's configured for a Beechcraft twin engine, but all the levers can easily be removed. So a setup for this flight sim will take, not more than 5 minutes. So that was something that was important to us when we designed this thing, to really make it efficient for the instructors, to not waste a lot of time booting up. So we have the fastest video cards in this thing, and it's state of the art. Next picture, that gives you a little bit of an idea of, again, of the size on the bottom left here. These are very comfortable, decent sized seats, and these are 55-inch screens, which give us a 180-degree view. On the right side, It shows you the different configurations. So for example, if you do want to simulate or practice to eventually fly an advanced aircraft, then it gives you the G1000 with the G5 backup. But we can also set it up where you have for like a private student that's just starting, where you have a basic 6-pack. Let me get to the next. I mean, there's other points on here, but that's okay. We can simulate, like most flight simulators, we can simulate any kind of condition, any kind of weather. And the good thing is we can, even when the weather's not good and, the flight school can't operate because it's too windy or a snowstorm or whatever, we can, you can fly a simulator anytime, anywhere. And literally anywhere. You can select an airport in Germany, for example, and practice an approach at an airport in Germany, It's cost effective. It's, doesn't have an operating cost like an airplane, so it's a lot less. Let me get to the next. I want to make this not too long. So this is just a sketch I drew last night. I know it's not very good, but this is kind of an idea what we have for how we would set up the office. The flight simulator on the right would be in that nook. I don't know if everyone's familiar with the office, but it has that cutout in the back, and it would perfectly fit in there. And then we'd still keep the desk. It'll be an instructor station, and in the front we'd have some kind of seating with maybe a screen or something, and a coffee maker. So obviously the points, I don't want to go over all these points. I mean, it's obviously a safety thing. When you have a flight simulator at an airport, you can get people, you don't have to put them in the airplane right away. You can get them used to, for example, taxiing is something you can perfectly practice in a simulator. And that's a concept for a new student, for example. It's not an easy thing to suddenly steer with your feet, right? So this is just one example. I mean, it really adds safety when you have a flight simulator like this available. Ours is well maintained, it's state of the art. We have the newest graphics card, so it doesn't crash, it can handle, a flight simulation program is a pretty, big program, but our system can handle it. We'd make it available to everyone at the airport. So any instructor, any pilot that needs to stay current, can, we'll work that out, and they can get in even if we're not there, and, practice their flying. And, so I think this is just our mission. And I mean, the main thing with that is really the bridging the gap. I know a lot of people that are interested in flying, but wouldn't necessarily book a lesson with a flight school because they don't know how, and they don't necessarily, it's a good amount of money, even the first lesson, but this is something that can bring people to the airport. They can fly for an hour, and then the flight school has access to these people, and the flight school can then say, well, you did good in the sim, wouldn't you want to book a lesson? So it's kind of like a promotional device, but it's so much more than that, And the last thing I have is just a video, and that just shows the flight simulator in action. So if you guys let me share, well, actually I can just hit play and you guys can watch.
All right, this is Cody Hodgins, one of our pilots, flying an approach on the flight simulator. We're using the Garmin G1000, and the G5 has a backup, and he's also using an iPad. You'll own it. The screens give us 180 degrees of viewing, lateral view, I guess.
So this is actually an approach at Westfield. So we picked that as a nice demonstration.
Even the lighting inside the flight simulator You have the lights up here. Makes it more realistic. A little off center.
And so my phone, you guys can still hear me, right?
Yes.
My phone cut off before the landing, so that's why the video ends here. But this is actually at Westfield, so it looks a little different with the program we're using. As you can tell, the tower is a little higher, but it really does a great job, you know, simulating any airport, really. So that's basically it. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you for that. Chris, I guess we'll open it up to commission questions right now, and I'll start off. So Sasha, is there a fee with this? How does that work?
So what I'm thinking, obviously there's a fee with it. Any flight simulator at any airport, they charge a good amount. Yes, there is a fee with it. And as far as the hourly fee that I'm thinking is somewhere around $50. And that's still less than any flight sim that we found anywhere.
Yep.
And yeah, and I mean, we'll work on deals as far as, you know, the flight school using it. We'll work all that out, you know.
Well, I see the flight school well represented here, so I'd be interested in see what Frederica has to say about it too, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you just developing this, or do you have more of these in operation? Tell us a little bit more about your company.
So this system is completely done. I mean, we're fine tuning some things, but it is ready. We've been testing it for the last, I would say, 2 to 3 months. We've been testing it. We've had different flight instructors fly it. We took their advice. So there's many things that, for example, the Redbird is probably the most common flight simulator.
Yes.
And we asked a bunch of different flight instructors, and there's certain complaints that they had with the Redbird, and we made sure that we're not having those same issues. So one, for example, everyone had an issue with the heat in the Redbirds because they're completely fully enclosed, and every flight, every instructor that we spoke with said it just makes it uncomfortable. If you're flying longer than an hour, you're like in there, the air gets, you know, and that's just one example. We did a lot of things, the positioning of the windows, all that stuff. This is the first flight sim that we've developed. Right now, we're planning on possibly a helicopter flight simulator, which would be great. I'm not sure if Westfield if there'd be a market for it, but it's something I always wanted, so I'm probably still going to develop it. And as far as this flight sim business, you know, this is the first one that we're doing,
Okay.
but it's not going to be the last one.
Okay, Sasha, where are you based?
So we're in Springfield. This is
wow.
like this business. I mean, right now, this flight sim is in my garage, you know. But hopefully it'll be at the airport soon.
And
I mean, it's where a flight simulator belongs, you know.
understood. So Westfield being one of your first probably targets to test this out, it was your first logical choice, I suppose. And with the opening here, the timing was
Exactly.
just, okay, I understand. Yeah. So Frederica, what do you think?
I met with Sasha a couple times, and I think it's great. I think I have a fair number of instrument students that would be able to log time in the sim, cost savings for them, especially bad weather days. We've had terrible weather, as we all know, since January. I like the idea that it's upstairs. You know, I know Sash relatively well. We're getting to know each other, and I think it has a place at the airport if the commission decides.
Okay, all right, great. I guess that ends my questioning. Commissioner Keefe? You're on mute, George.
I had two. One was on the fees, and the other one was what kind of hours of operation is this going to be available to students and the public in general?
So what I'm thinking is I want to make it available to anyone pretty much at any time as far as the instructors and the flight school there, which doesn't mean I'm not going to be there all, day and night. But if we can work something out with the keys to the office, then Frederica would have access to it. Also, we want to schedule things. So we very much like with an airplane, when you rent an airplane, you book the airplane. So when we know someone wants to fly, even if they wanted to fly later at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, then we can make that possible as well. I mean, we don't want it to just be random where people just walk in. That's not the right traffic for the airport, I don't think. But if it's scheduled, then, we're pretty flexible with that.
Okay. Good to hear. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Phelan.
Thank you, Chairman Gannett. I'd like to go back to the actual physical device. So you said it's in your garage and you're kind of tweaking it. Is this ready to be moved in like tomorrow, if you could?
I mean, it could. It's not a small device, but it comes apart. So for one, the screens come off. So the screens are, we'd still need a bigger vehicle, but we can get the screens there. And then the unit itself is kind of one piece. The top comes off, so we can fit it in a truck when we'll be able to deliver it.
So when Chairman Gannett was asking you questions, you mentioned a brand. Was it Red Dog or something?
Redbird, yeah.
Redbird. Okay, sorry, I had the wrong animal. Are these custom built? Are they mass manufactured? I don't know much about simulators.
I don't know. I mean, they're probably mass manufactured, I would guess. I mean, someone else might know. Frederica might know more about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing this for a long time, Redbird.
Yeah,
So there's all
Redbird
kinds
is
of different.
Redbird is mass manufactured.
Right.
There's one in Northampton and there's one in the Air Museum in Connecticut.
But this is not Redbird, right?
No,
This is not
this is Wolf Aviation.
This is Wolf Aviation. There are some parts, though. For example, the Cessna throttle quadrant is a Redbird throttle quadrant.
So it's sort of like mass. Well, it's sort of customized, or you make these this is your own brand. Is what you're saying?
I guess it's our own brand, but
Nice,
it uses
okay.
parts like the G1000 unit. That's a Garmin unit. The
Yeah.
G5 emulator. That's Garmin. The yoke itself is what is it? Honeycomb makes that. But we picked the best components. I mean, that's why it's kind of mixed. That's why we used the Redbird throttle quadrant, because that was the best one out there. And but other things like the honeycomb yoke was, pretty much the best.
So is this the instruction on these? Is the student in there alone, or are they with an instructor?
So that's a good question. We want to make it, we've given, like the way we submitted it to the FAA is that we have different stations. So there has to be an instructor station, that's according to the FAA, but the instructor with ours does not necessarily have to be in the cockpit. They can be if they want to. There's a little section on the right where they can put an iPad and then they can control the weather and everything. But they can also be at a desk to give the student more of a feel as if they're by themselves flying, Which,
my point, my question is, will the student be in there alone during their hourly session? Are they alone in that?
so a student probably wouldn't be, but
Okay.
a pilot could be. So a pilot that just may work on their proficiency or anything. They, if that's arranged, then they can be in there by themselves,
Thank you so much, Sasha, for your presentation. Chairman Gannett, I'm all set. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sasha, thank you very much. Unless, Chris, you have any questions?
No, I'm all set, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
I'm all set.
Okay. Want to move on to the next agenda item there?
Yep, actually, our second presentation is Spider Cuff USA. Gary Heine is on. I know, Gary, hopefully we heard you before, so hopefully you can hear us.
How would the screen share work? Because I do have something that might be, even though I can't get my camera to work, perhaps I can share the screen.
You should be able to do that. Go ahead.
You need to give me a button to do that.
It is enabled for anybody in the meeting, so you should be able to see screen share.
Okay.
On the bottom of your screen, you should see screen share.
Okay.
It's a green, should be highlighted in green, it's an arrow.
Share.
Share screen. There we go. It looks like it's starting up.
Okay.
We got it.
Well, I'm coming into this from a different standpoint. I'm new to aviation. SpiderCuff is a company that has a new technology for restraints, and we have a product that will need support for our marketing and sales across the country. In that regard, both myself and my chief operating officer need to move more efficiently than we can to the airports. And we were thinking that this space could support us and our efforts to get aircraft going for our operation. Our mission is to provide the country with our products. We need to support that with a location, if we can find one here in the Pioneer Valley, training an aircraft. I have not been a flyer before. This aircraft that I'm looking at now is a Cirrus. It requires me to be able to use that to move forward to another aircraft, which would be more mission oriented, which is a Pilatus. For me to do this effectively and to keep our operation going, we also are thinking of the space for a simulator. The one that we've identified is a pretty good unit. It seems to have passed all the tests that Mr. Wolf is aspiring to achieve. Congratulations on that effort. I don't know how long that will take, but this particular Flight One Aviation Technologies unit, shown here in a smaller format, we're costing out the more comprehensive screen displays where you have as he does, a more of an enclosed experience, so you get more of a sense of horizon and flying and whatnot. For the office, I didn't do an office layout. I think what he's come up with is probably the most logical way to do this, so you can have yourself away from the window and the light is behind you as you want to get good display contrast and whatnot. This particular one is already approved by the FAA for Cessna, Cirrus, Piper, and it uses a VizPro software program, which I don't know a lot about. Mr. Wolf could probably inform us more about that, but this is wired and done and ready to install. We don't have a place to put it, so I can't buy it ahead of time. But if the places were to fall into place, this would be what I would be using to augment my training, because as Frederica said, the weather around here is anything but conducive to flying this year. It's oftentimes like that quite a bit. The effort would be, after this goes through, it's certainly a product that does warrant the use by others. I'm not a selfish person. How that would work would be an interesting thing to get scheduled. We probably have to have people that are working through Frederica's training school, and they would have access to the office, as I won't be there all the time. It was also going to be a remote executive office for me. Our offices right now are in Pittsfield. I live in Springfield, and the business is set up for me not to be on site. So I have the opportunity to be in Springfield or Pittsfield or wherever else I have to be around the country. I thought Wolf Aviation was an outfit out of New York that had a lot of jets, and I was going to say, boy, we can't probably compete with the jets, but here we have two presentations that are remarkably the same. One is a more personable one. It's not just for the use of the office for simulators. I would also have some space there to use myself when it was not being used by others. Simulators aren't a real noisy thing. People have headsets on and it's pretty quiet. So I don't think I would be displaced for the most part. The person was there. If there's an instructor over their shoulder, as oftentimes there can be for more sophisticated training, then I might find myself, if I was there at that time, displaced. But this is really the way that a lot of people are learning to fly, and I want to augment my own training with a simulator. That's that.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And I'll start off the questioning. So, John, tell me, I'm trying to understand the business model here that you have. So you're a These spider cuffs are a new technology type of handcuff, and you're looking for a location in your primary business is handcuffs, but you want to put a simulator in here because someday you're going to get an airplane, and then you'll use this office. It'll be a simulator and your office. Is that the correct understanding, or am I missing something?
Yeah, the thrust of this, I had not considered flying until the business really got off the ground, because I was getting the business off the ground. But we have patents that relate to a very profitable innovation that relates to the safety of handcuffs. As a result, we anticipate replicating what Peerless did over 100 years ago and taking over the market in handcuffs. Our business model is well funded. We're currently about a $10.5 million business. We're launching our products later this year. And as we roll this out across the nation, I have to get myself and others going to trade shows, major cities, corrections institutions, and things of that sort, and support our operation domestically. We also have patents that extend around the world. I'm from the Pioneer Valley, and getting out of here to go to Europe is a good starting point. So that initial aircraft that we're looking at for our mission is a Pilatus. We're probably 12 months away from putting an order in or buying a used Pilatus at this point in time. The remote executive office / training facility for me would have a simulator in it, because it's not only the initial aircraft that I'm purchasing, but the subsequent one, which I'd hope to be able to also fly, which is a Pilatus. And therefore, it's a high-end simulator that I'm purchasing. It also scales to lesser aircraft, not that they're just less sophisticated aircraft. It seems like a nice, wonderful little space. It's a great airport. Our operations right now are in Pittsfield. We may bring them back to the Westfield area. We couldn't find the space we were looking for, so we moved it out to Pittsfield recently. See how that works out.
Where are your manufacturing facilities, in Pittsfield?
Yes, in Pittsfield at this point.
Okay.
Rolling things up, we have most of our product line is out of Taiwan. It's being assembled here in Pittsfield. As we scale up, we probably would move back into the Pioneer Valley.
Okay. What is so how does the simulator, what kind of fees, what kind of hours, how does that work? Is that open to the public, or that's just for your operation?
Well, it wouldn't be the public. It would probably be people that are actually in a school. I don't know that it's not a toy. So it would be people that are actually engaged in a flight training process or school that would be qualified to go and use something like this. It would be under the supervision of a certified flight instructor initially. You don't just sit down and wing it. You have to have someone who's familiar with the setup and setting you up and getting you going with your aircraft.
No, I'm very familiar. I am a pilot, and I also we also have a Redbird simulator at the museum where I'm the board, so I'm quite familiar with that process.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem there. So you would, but what would be what kind of fees are you looking at for this? The same question I had for Sasha.
Well, I haven't figured that out yet. I have to find the location. I'm paying for this for myself. I'd like to get something that defrays the cost.
Of course.
I don't know what the market rates in different locations for a simulator like this are. $100 an hour generally, $125 an hour for a good quality simulator that does all that this one does. The market in this area is untested, so you start off with a price point, you adjust that relative to the perception of the market.
Okay. All right, I understand. Commissioner Keefe. You're on mute, George.
Keeps dropping off on me. How's it now?
Perfect.
Okay. Sorry about that. Just again, I only have one question because I was just still a little unclear. Do you actually own the Cirrus aircraft yet, or it's just something you're looking to purchase here in the near future?
I had an offer in that didn't go through earlier this year, so I'm still on the hunt for the SR-20 that I'm in need of at this point. So they're rather difficult to acquire at this point because of the demand for that particular aircraft. It's interesting, just yesterday or this morning, there was a collision out in Colorado and one of these aircraft deployed its parachute and the other one was able to land successfully. Praise God. Nobody was killed. Bringing that to the airport.
It was a Mesa small cargo aircraft.
Yeah,
I saw that.
quite extraordinary.
And I can assume that you're planning, whichever aircraft you have, you'll be basing these at the airport and utilizing our hangar space. So that's a win-win for us.
That's the idea.
Okay, thank you.
One last question, John. Are you a pilot now?
I am going through a flight school down in Plainville at this point because I haven't got the plane. I've got a job to get done. So my thought was to bring the plane here, work with Frederica's school and another trainer, Bob Beatty, who unfortunately had a tremendously difficult skiing accident. So my plans have been shifted sideways at this point. I'm still on track to get my pilot's license. My certified service guy is recovering for the next 60 days or so. And that has just kind of delayed the project a little bit, but that's the way cookie crumble.
So it sounds like you've already soloed.
No, I have not soloed. I've just begun. I've got about 5 hours in the aircraft. We're doing a real good job, but have not yet soloed.
Okay. All right. Let me turn it over to Commissioner Phelan, please.
Oh, thank you, Chairman Gunn. Just for clarification, Jonathan, you already have the simulator?
No, I have to have a place to put it, and I'm not going to put it in my office here in Pittsfield. I want it closer to my home in Springfield. And the ideal thing would be to find a space that's coincident with an airport, because then you're able to share it with others. Having it myself would be a unwise thing to do. It's too expensive a piece of equipment to have sitting around in my basement or wherever else it would be.
So you don't have the simulator at this point?
No, it's just a matter of ordering it. It's
right.
Off the shelf kind of item.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's the only question I have, Chairman.
Okay. Chris, I'll turn it back over to you, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, and I think Tammy is still on. So I think at this point, the commission has a choice to select one of these two companies to move forward and authorize me to work with the law department on putting together a lease agreement for the office space, if that's what the commission so chooses. Tammy, I'm not sure if you're still on. That would be the next step.
Yes, you are correct, Chris. That would be the next step.
Right, Chris, I'd like to propose, since discussions of this type nature in a public session could be detrimental to our position here, I'd like to take this up in executive session later on.
Okay.
And that's pursuant to Mass Laws 30A, Section 21.
So I guess for the two proposers, the commission is not going to vote on this evening. There'll be further discussion about the two proposals. And at a future meeting, and maybe a special meeting in the very near future, the commission will take this item up and it will get voted on.
We will move this quickly forward.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your efforts. And Sasha, I hope I get to meet you sometime. It looks like we have a similar interest. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you also. I guess we'll get out of this meeting then, and
Okay.
hopefully.
Well, it's a public meeting. You're free to stay. But I thank both you gentlemen for presenting your proposals to us. And as I said, we will be responsive to your request.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And also, Chairman Gunn, I just want to thank Tammy for all her efforts in helping put this together for us. So thank you, Tammy.
And
No
Tammy,
problem.
didn't go unnoted. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Have a great evening, guys.
Okay.
You too.
Thank you, Tammy. Okay, Chris, with that, let's go on to item B of special agenda items, the aerial design hangar. And that'd be, I can see Frederica smiling already, ready to talk.
Sure. So the second agenda item is the Aero Design Hangar 1 lease assignment. As you're all aware, and in your packets, you have a copy of an email or letter from Tom Trudeau
I have
of
Tom
Aero
Trudeau
Design.
here.
I'm here today, yes.
Oh.
And Tom's there too, great. And basically, Tom is looking to assign his current lease agreement to Frederica. And both Frederica and Tom are here, so I'll turn it over to them to explain a little bit what they're looking to do.
Okay.
Hi, everybody on the commission. I leased this building in 2005 and located Aero Design here, and we've had a tremendous run at it. Obviously, I'm getting a little bit older, but I intend to stay in the business and have taken Frederica as a partner in the business, but I'd like her to be the primary or the principal partner. One, because she's so involved with the flight school here, and I'm currently doing all of her maintenance anyways, so we thought it was a natural and logical move to get her into the business, and eventually she will be taking over the business. That's what our hope is.
Okay. Great. Chris, I guess I'll start off the question. So Frederica, all your aircraft will be hangared over there?
I will continue with my lease with Retrix that I have right now. The tie-down leaseback aircraft that is already agreed to have tie-downs will be moved to the Aero Design spaces. Right now we are up to 6 aircraft and we're negotiating on 7.
Okay.
So 7th will be a tie-down as well.
Well, that's good that the school's doing well. So we think that's great for aviation and general aviation and teaching our future pilots here, which there is a critical shortage of these days. So
Yes.
that's a great thing. You will also, you do maintenance. Tom and I've never had the chance to meet. Sorry about that, but I'll make it a
Yeah,
point.
that's all right.
to go on by there. But I know Aero Design. I pass by it all the time.
Yeah, I intend to stay here, and as long as I can. I mean, I'd like to stay through the end of my lease if possible. I mean, if my health is good, which it is, but so I have no intention of going anywhere. Frederica and I get along tremendously well. The maintenance business is thriving here at Westfield, and I intend to be involved in that for as long as I'm physically able.
And I think we have some great things. You've got a ample supply of A&Ps not too far from
we do.
stuff, and it's the Westfield Airport is going to be noted as the place for developing our youth in aviation and all that. So I am so proud of that, and I look forward to seeing this Westfield continue to grow in that tradition.
And as a matter of fact, we just hired the very first female graduate of the WTA program.
Perfect.
So she's on board with us now, and we hope, we hope she's going to advance quickly.
Right.
So she's an apprentice under Tom, and she'll be testing in June.
Great. Well, I'm being in the aviation industry all my life. I think that is tremendous, and I congratulate you on it. Sounds like a good hire.
Yeah.
And I've only heard good things about Aero Design, so.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we tried very, very hard, and we've never, in my career, we've never had one violation from the FAA ever. Not one lawsuit, not one violation.
Right. And as I've told Frederica this, and as we expand and grow this airport and make it safer, one of the things we're going to have to do someday is we have to fix Bravo South.
Yeah.
When we repair and put in Bravo South, Aero Design, we're going to have to move it. And, because that is a obstacle for that.
Frederica and I have talked about, another facility.
Yeah, and there may be ways that maybe we can talk to Mr. Ozinski, and maybe we can bond a hangar. I know Chris is probably going to smile when I say that. I don't know. I don't see him smiling at it, but there's ways that
Yes,
maybe
we understand. Yes.
we can do this to make our airport a better airport and a safer airport, because at the end of the day, that does block when it could be a hazard, and if we can save an accident from occurring or something like that, that's what we want to go do. So we're
Sure.
always mindful of that. And as that Bravo taxiway scheduled for what, 2024, Chris?
Yep, and when construction would start, yes,
Yeah,
2024.
it's
It's
a couple of years,
programmed
and that's going to be a great project. It takes us to the next level, and all good stuff. So I just wanted to keep that in mind, so that I don't want to see anybody's funds, whether it's the city's, yours, whomever's, the federal government, because that's our money, wasted if we do something wrong. So I just wanted to make sure that you're under that understanding, and that someday we'll figure something out,
Yep,
to
clearly.
move
Yes.
forward, because you folks are an asset to our airport.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So I have no other questions. I fully support this. Commissioner Keefe.
I have no questions. It just sounds like a very positive, mutually beneficial situation for both Frederica and Tom. So I'm good. Thanks.
And good for our airport.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Phelan.
Thank you, Chairman. So hi, Frederica. How are you?
Hi,
Nice
good.
to
How are
see
you?
Tom, it's nice to meet you. As a
Yeah,
new
you too.
commissioner, could you give me the 2-minute elevator speech of what Aero Design is? We have not met, and I'm learning about some of the businesses up there.
Sure. Aero Design is involved in pretty much all aspects of general aviation maintenance. We currently are not involved in any corporate. We don't compete with, say, Gulfstream or Retrix. We're in the general aviation market, which is typically all private aircraft.
So
And
are you
we
saying
do
like cars, you
all
actually-
sort. Excuse
you
me?
actually repair customers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's like taking my car to the mechanic, they take their airplane to you.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
thank you. I wasn't really familiar, so thank you.
And when you own a little airplane, I hear Tom's very reasonable. So, everybody thinks everybody's a billionaire that owns an airplane.
Yeah.
It's not the case. We're just a bunch of farmers that are trying to keep our airplanes in the air with wire and whatever else it takes, and fly safe and
Yeah.
enjoy a sport that is near and dear to many of us.
Yeah, I'll tell you, to get into flying, you can still buy an airplane cheaper than a new car. So.
Absolutely. And it's so important. You look at aviation and what it's done around the world, and you look at the great countries of the world,
Yeah.
aviation is always followed, and I go to Singapore, and I always harp on Singapore. Kate knows it. I'm going to do it again. For a little island, they have done such a fantastic job with their aviation. And
Yeah.
I'd like to take some of our legislatures there to show them what could really be done. So all good stuff. So I think it's a great thing. And with that, what I'd like to go do is I'd like to make a motion to have the airport manager and the city law department work on a lease amendment for the assignment of lease from Tom Trudeau of Aero Design to Frederica Ballard, now I guess of Aero Design.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
George is muted, but he said second.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, a roll call, please.
For Chairman Gannett,
Yes.
Commissioner Keefe,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Oh, yes.
George, you can just nod from now on.
Okay.
George, did we switch laptops? Because my laptop hasn't cut out yet.
Chris, you're about 20 minutes it's going to go, so you better go hit the button again.
You're way overdue.
Commissioner Phelan,
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion is passed. Thank you. Next
Super.
agenda item, Chris, is the, let's see here, Head of Department Contract Signature Authorization. If you would lead the charge, please.
sure. So this is an annual requirement of City Hall and our city auditor's office. We need to formally vote on contract signature authorization. So there are two specific votes. One vote will make a motion to authorize the three of you signing authority for all federal and state grants and all other contracts associated with those grants. And then there'll be a second vote that will make a motion to authorize myself as airport manager, signing authority for all other contracts associated with grants. So, Chairman Gunn, I'll turn it over to you. It's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So
I got it.
answering
I'll take
questions.
it from here, Chris, no problem. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Chairman Gannett, Commissioner Keefe, and Commissioner Phelan signing the authority for all federal and state grants and all other contracts associated with grants. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Chris, please.
Oh, is there any discussion usually on a
Oh,
motion?
sorry. I missed the discussion part. Thank
That's
you,
okay. Only because
Commissioner
I have a
Phelan.
question, because this is new for me. On these grant assurances, does that mean once they're approved, we all sign them? Can you just give a little?
No, the grant assurances need a authorized commission signature. Typically, it is the chair. And on some of them, Chris, I still think we need a chair signature on, correct?
Yeah, and actually the grant assurances are the chairman and the mayor signs, depending on the assurance. FAA assurance is actually the mayor signs, and the council approves that. But this is in regards to when we get certain grant agreements, particularly on a state level, but there are some federal. So so basically, and paperwork associated with that effort, the three of you would have that signing authority. Certain things are chairman, as Chairman Ghana is aware, like grant applications and things like that. So.
Okay.
And what happens, Kate, it's there are times, I always do my Friday travel up to the airport, or if I'm not around, sometimes we can grab George, or what have you. It just makes it easier because the paperwork comes so quickly that you can't plan it too far ahead. So that's why we do this annually. So,
Okay, thank you for that.
okay.
I get called on a regular basis, Kate, and I haven't been arrested yet.
Okay, well, good to know. I want to know what I'm signing my name to. I'm just, just in
Yeah,
case.
well, hey, I've been doing it for years. I haven't gone to jail yet either. So I guess we're good. So with that, Chris, let's do a roll call, please.
Sure. And one thing before, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman. Just one thing before,
Yes, please, Chris.
for all the commissioners, myself and the staff, we review all the documentation. So we are not, you're not signing something that that myself or someone else on our team has not reviewed. So I just, to your point, Commissioner Phelan, we're trying to keep our commissioners out of trouble.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Making sure before you sign, we've reviewed everything. So
one point to that, I try to say, hey, Chris, you got to sign first before I. So if we're going to jail, we'll have company. Okay, so I like his fingerprints on the weapon.
All right, Chairman Gonnet.
Yes.
Commissioner Keefe.
Yes.
Commissioner Phelan.
Yes.
Great. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the next thing, the Airport Marketing Working Group update. Oh, I can't wait to hear, Kate.
Was there another motion for Chris to sign?
Yes, I was just going to say we have the second vote
Oh,
on the previous
excuse
agenda
me.
item.
Okay, all right. I missed that one, Chris. Okay, so what I'd like to put forth is a motion to authorize Airport Manager Chris Wallenborg signing for all other contracts associated with grants. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
I'm good.
Okay, so a roll call, please, Chris.
Chairman Gonnet,
Yes.
Commissioner Keefe,
Yes.
Commissioner Phelan.
Yes.
Chairman Gonnet, we're ready to go next item or?
Yes. Okay, so with that, let's talk about, now my favorite group,
Yeah, well.
Kate and marketing.
Okay, so there's not too much to report this evening. I reached out to Chris and to see when we should meet again, but with everything going on up at the airport, we kind of decided to have our next meeting. We're going to push it off for a little bit. However, I did reach out to MGM. Originally, I had some folks' names, and then I found out they left. They're no longer at MGM. So then I reached out to some other folks, and I'm not sure if they're in Las Vegas. There's been a lot of turnover at MGM.
Yep.
So I'm still following some leads over there. I did get one of my contacts. I did get an email that they use NetJets, and apparently they do fly out of Barnes. Chris, are you familiar with NetJets?
Yes, they're a very large fractional ownership aircraft
Okay,
company.
so apparently that's part of MGM. They're, I don't know. who they
They're
fly.
senior, that they have a rental program with them is what it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
So I did get that information. I'm still going to reach out to their entertainment, whoever handles their entertainment, and maybe their, I don't know if they have connections, if they have these high roller, I know they have these special rooms for high rollers, whatever. And then, so I'm still working on that. And then the other thing is I reached out to the Big E, and apparently they've also used Barnes. They have used Barnes. They use a group called Mellowship Entertainment out of West Springfield. And apparently they have used, I did get a response from Annalise Petruska. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name correctly. But she said that they've had a few acts fly into the airport over the years. But right now, because they're not sure what's going to be happening, although I this year, I'm hoping though for have them to come up. I want them to come and see the airport and meet Chris and his team. So we're still working on those two items, Chairman Ghana and George, so
Good.
that we're still working on those things. And then of course we'll get our, we're going to have a follow-up with the tenants. Chris, I think we talked about maybe June. And then of course we still want our government meeting, but we've been pushing a few of these things off because of all the issues at the airport that Chris is dealing with, so.
Yep. One couple of questions, Kate, for you. First off, do we get Michael Jordan's airplane sitting out there, Chris? He's in town. That is it's a Basketball Hall of Fame enshrinement. Did we get any airplanes parked out front?
Well, the enshrinement's formal ceremony is going to be in Connecticut this year.
It's in Mohegan Sun, but the Kobe Bryant family's in. I was just talking to the treasurer of the Hall of Fame, was a personal friend of mine. So they got it's quite the weekend. And, and that's the next thing, we should reach out to the Hall of Fame to say, hey, when they're flying in, if, those are the high rollers, let me tell you, that are flying in, make sure they know that Westfield is the airport that they should utilize.
Bill, I don't have a connection with the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I can set that up with the, because I know all the folks over there. So hey, why don't you call me sometime and I'll set you up and I'll give you Mr. Vinnick's connection, and then we'll move forward on that, because I want to make sure they're flying in.
Bill, have they been to the airport?
Well, I tell you what, I've met, Magic Johnson's been at the airport. I've met him. I've met a lot of different people that flown in. I don't know if the Jim Vinnick I know has. I've taken him to the airport, but I just want to make sure that they're connected. They know we're here and we're ready to service them, because those airplanes take a lot of fuel and they also have landing fees with them. So that's good stuff. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And beyond that, I do think, one of the things, how have we marketed the June 15th commemorative Air Force? Is it June? What date is that, Chris? June?
It's actually June 14th they're flying in, but the actual flying is the 16th through the 20th. We have it posted on our Facebook page. We've tweeted it out, and we're partnering with the commemorative Air Force for a press release as we get a little bit closer. So we're working with their team.
Okay. And we're working, and that's something, bring some families out, see some history, and I don't know how we promote that, but or maybe somebody could help us promote it.
I wonder if we could get an article in the paper. I can.
Yes, actually, we're working on that with the commemorative Air Force. They have their own press team. So as we get a little bit closer, there'll be an article on that.
The other thing, Kate, I just was with over at they moved into the Tell Tool building there, an aerospace and space manufacturer, Susan Casa. You know her?
Who is it?
She owns a a fairly sophisticated machine shop operation over not too far from the airport. But my point for bringing this up, we have advanced manufacturing, we have a Cadence, we have several large aerospace employers in the area that I think we need to reach out, including Gulfstream, and reach out and talk about, hey, Westfield's an aerospace, we employ a lot of people in Westfield in the aerospace business. Okay. You take that aerospace business out of Westfield and it's a different looking city. So, there's a lot of things I think we could do to work with our aerospace base. And again, I'm taking a playbook. I'm just copying what they do in Singapore and really advertise this aerospace hub that we have here. I tell you what, not a lot of people recognize that. And I can work with you. I can go down and go through a bunch of the names if we want someday and make sure we check them off.
So thank you, Bill, because I know some of these companies because they were members of the chamber. Like I know the Amati family, and I know Fran Ahern at Gulfstream, and then Kristen over on Mainline. I'm drawing a Peerless Precision.
Right.
So I think maybe we should.
And Susan Casa now at Boulevard Machine, which is, I tell you what, for a small shop, that thing is. I've been to shops all over the world. That is world class. She may be small, but she has one heck of an operation there.
Boulevard Machine. They're new then, right?
Yeah, they're in the Old Tell Tool building.
The Old Tell Tool. I thought that was Cadence.
I was just there. I don't know the exact address of it, but yeah, she's right. She's right there. I just met up with her, and it was interesting to see. Yeah, she's on 326 Lockout Road, Susan Casa.
I know where it is.
That's that. Hey, so I'm only suggesting that as we work this whole marketing thing, now we drive the aerospace theme through this, and with that A&P school, okay. And I talked to Joe Langoni, who is the principal and a personal friend of mine of the Westfield Vocational. We've got machinists, we got A&P mechanics. It all just fits so perfectly that if we can drive this and to get some synergy going, I think this could be a big for the airport and big for the city, and employment and great jobs is so important for the future.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks for that. Okay, Chris, my favorite, FAA Part 139. How are we doing? We're going to pass with flying colors.
That's the ultimate goal for sure. Just one step back. Commissioner Phelan and I met with Diane DeMarco of Spotlight Graphics last month, and she actually has been helping us with some of the information that we're looking to hopefully purchase. If it's going to be a little tough before the end of this fiscal year, but hopefully certainly in the beginning in July, some marketing things for the airport. One of the things is actually a directory display downstairs. She had provided us with some catalogs. I've already identified a couple options, but also other items that we could give out to the tenants to promote the airport, like a magnetic bumper sticker, the BAF, Westfield Barnes Regional Airport, get those around town and in the community. So we've identified some things. So I think that was an important step too, that we worked on together last month on this.
Good. I think, and that's all great stuff that I think will be better off in the years to come. So I commend both you and Commissioner Phelan. Thank you for those efforts.
So now to the 139.
You just wanted to push that off. That's all you wanted.
No, it's we have our dates first of all. So
what is the big date?
So it's a 3-day inspection. It starts June 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So the inspector is Steve Barker.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing.
Okay.
He's a tough but fair inspector. I've worked with him. He's a former airport engineer. I worked with him when I was working with an airport up in Maine, and he was the airport engineer for FAA, and he recently changed to become an inspector. But Jeff and I have been in regular contact with him. As you know, last year we did not have a 139 inspection because of the COVID. So this is the first inspection that the airport's having since both Jeff and I have become part of the management team here at the airport. So we're very much looking forward to the inspection. We've been working closely, our team, our maintenance staff, Amanda and Eileen, we're getting the paperwork prepared. The airfield is getting worked on, cutting the grass. We're focusing in on all the edges of all the pavement. With the winter, you get a change, sometimes the freeze thaw. We're getting close to, we're not supposed to have greater than 3-inch lips from a transition from the pavement to the grass. Most of the areas are 1.5 inch, but we're still cleaning those up. And we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, getting prepared. So there will be an in-brief. Once I get that formal schedule, I'll let the commissioners know if you would like to attend the in-brief.
Please. Yeah, that would be great. Chris, couple questions. First off, we've reviewed all of our findings from 2 years ago and our issues that we had, and hopefully we've checked those off, and those will have no repeats. We've been that's been on FAA that's been ringing in my ears now for a couple of years now, repeats. So hopefully we've checked all those boxes. That's a big deal.
Yes, we actually last year we closed out the open items that were still on that list from the 2019 inspection. So we are going to try our best. I think I've mentioned to you my first 9.5 years here. We only had one perfect inspection in the 9 years. It's very difficult to have a perfect inspection, but
I've been through many an FAA inspection on a Part 145 repair shop, so I get it. So understood, and all sorts of inspections. So yeah, it just, the repeat ones are the ones that those are the bothersome ones. That's why we need to make sure that anything gets repeated.
And we are in regards to that, one of the things that have been challenges for us because of cost has been the markings. Yes. But we have markings getting done in the next 2 weeks, touching up taxiways, all the whole position signs, the surface painted signs that are on the ground, the red and white. They're being water blasted and then repainted. So that's all going to happen within the next 2 weeks in preparation before our inspection. So it's not written up.
I was thinking about that, Chris. I think I'm going to vent clear coat. It's going to go over after you paint it all with the translucent stuff. I'm going to go over with clear coat. You know what I mean? And then just replace the clear coat every 6 months. I might have a new patent on that.
There you go.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Any questions from my fellow commissioners?
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
Great. Okay. Moving on. Fiscal year 21-22 airport budget update, Chris.
Sure. So as you're aware, we're coming to the finish line for fiscal year 2021 budget. The end of the fiscal year is June 30th. We had a department head meeting earlier this week. It does not appear that there will be any sort of budget freezes until, when we get close to the end of June because of the processing paperwork. But it's been a tough fiscal year for us, and we're limping into the final month here, but we should be able to get through without any real issues, as long as nothing out of the ordinary happens at the airport between now and the end of June.
Yeah, well, surprises are the things we don't like.
Right. For fiscal year 2022, we did our budget. We had our budget meetings with the mayor, our city auditor. The commission voted on the budget last month. My understanding is the mayor is going to be presenting the budget to the city council in the near future, and the finance committee will be holding meetings with department heads. So I will be preparing for that. I anticipate that'll be probably sometime end of May or early June. So we'll be ready for that. So that's my update on the airport budget.
Okay. Item G is my item. Okay. And so what I like to do is I'd like to make a statement to folks and on some pending legislation. So what I'd like to do is make a brief statement in regards to a bill being presented by State Senator Julian Sear, Democrat from Truro, Massachusetts. This pending state legislation would require Massachusetts airports to impose a $1,000 fee on any personal, corporate-owned, or charter rental aircraft that land on a Massachusetts public airport. The money from the fee would be invested in state infrastructure that has been affected by climate change. I, as chairman of this airports commission, strongly denounce this far-reaching, discriminatory, and irresponsible legislation. Legislatures need to understand there are consequences to their fanatical ideas. If this legislation were ever to pass, Barnes Airport would be decimated with people's lives and livelihoods affected. The local economy will also be harmed irreparably. The legislation would even affect the very existence of this airport. What happens to our flight schools like Fly Lugo trying to teach future pilots, some of which may go into the Air Force or fly us around the major airlines, would be deeply affected. What happens to the people who want to go to Tobacco restaurant that fly in? Do you think they'll fly a mere 15 minutes and fly right over our heads to to New Hampshire, New York, Connecticut, Vermont, Rhode Island? That's what will happen. This holds true for every other airport in Massachusetts. This type of legislation from these types of legislators is dangerous. This legislation more than likely violates or is preempted by several federal laws to add to the misery of this terrible legislation. For example, Westfield is 90% funded by the FAA, the federal government, not the state of Massachusetts, not the city of Westfield. The FAA has strict funding guidelines that this airport commission follows quite closely to ensure that Barnes Airport meets those guidelines. In this bill, revenues from landing fees would be diverted to off-airport infrastructure in clear violation of those guidelines, resulting in loss of funding, which in turn would result in Barnes Airport's existence being threatened without this federal funds. Can you imagine what our budget would look like with 90% gone? Unbelievable. Additionally, the FAA policy further mandates that fees must be just, reasonable, not unjustly discriminatory, and equitably apportioned among all categories of users. Lastly, the city of Westfield will be open to numerous lawsuits from our tenants that this legislation should pass for failure to provide access to an economic airport. Not to mention the excessive fees could open the airport up to other legal disputes from private pilots who would find it discriminatory. Lastly, I just don't think Mr. Sear has done his job. Okay, the fees that would be collected in the first year to all these small private pilots left for local states would be so insignificant, I don't think you could buy one electric bus. I am extremely disturbed and upset that someone would propose this type of irresponsible legislation. Mr. Sear should be strongly condemned by his constituents and the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I look forward to the people of this state to ridding our country of these irresponsible legislators trying to grandstand for their own personal gain. Respectfully submitted, William P. Gannett, Chairman, Westfield Regional Airport Commission. So with that statement, what I would like to propose, I'd like to put a motion to condemn this legislation and send a clear message to Mr. Sear that the Westfield Airport Commission is opposed to SR 2305. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Hi, Chris, we just need a, I just think we need a.
Bill, can we have discussion on this?
Yeah, let's have a discussion. Sure. Sorry. I keep forgetting that, Kate.
Okay. George, you okay if I go? I have a lot of.
Go right ahead. Oh, you're good. Kate.
Oh, Bill, Senator Sear, right?
Yeah, well,
Is he
I use that term loosely.
I
Sorry.
know. Is he the only sponsor of this bill?
Yes.
Chris, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it in committee or is it out of committee?
It was referred to the Transportation Committee.
So it's in committee. Okay.
They haven't taken it up, but it was referred to the Transportation.
Should we also CC our senator and our state rep on your letter? Could we do a CC to them, Bill?
Yeah, I think we could. I know, Chris, if you could, why don't you brief us on where we're at? I think it addressed a lot of, I have questions on that too, because there's a lot of things that are going on here, Kate, quite rapidly. And there's a hornet's nest here that's, there's a lot of bees buzzing. So Chris, if you could, please.
Sure. So I think all three of you know that I'm co-chair of the Massachusetts Airport Management Association Legislative Committee. This has been a topic that has been a big focus last week and this week. We actually had a call today with the two co-chairs of the Aviation Caucus, Senator Vilas here from Westfield and Representative Blay from up in Franklin County. Our legislative group, met with them via Zoom and talked about our concerns regarding this bill. The airport managers that Senator Sear represents have all reached out to him, expressing their extreme concern over this bill. In fact, the Martha's Vineyard Airport Commission chair recently had shared his concerns, similar to how Chairman Gannett did this evening. The Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, the National Business Aviation Association, we are working together on mobilizing a response. I was asked as co-chair of our legislative committee to put together a template letter for every airport manager to send to their state rep and state senator in their district to ask them to oppose this Senate bill that clearly would have a negative impact on general aviation and businesses here in the Commonwealth. So there's a lot going on. We actually have a caucus meeting. It just got scheduled. The caucus, the legislature is meeting on Monday at 10 o'clock. I will send out the Zoom meeting info if you want to call in for that meeting. This is a topic that is really caught the attention of all the users across, aeronautical users. I actually had a call this evening with Jeff DiCarlo, the MassDOT Aeronautics Administrator, about this. MassDOT and FAA want to have a call with our legislative group, and that's probably going to happen on Monday. Colleen DeLisandro, who is the regional administrator, she was at our ribbon cutting for runway 1533. She is very concerned about this. And some of her staff, Deputy Administrator Knopp, who was also out here when we had that, George Pantelli, the compliance director for New England region, is concerned about this. So FAA and MassDOT are both involved on this bill also.
Right.
So all the points that Chairman Gannett made about compliance, grant compliance.
And Kate, the other thing too is this guy is trying to sneak around because we are an independent body. We do not take direction. Actually, we don't even take direction from the city. We could get expelled off of this commission, but at the end of the day, we're an independent body. And he's going to have to go around that because we don't have to enforce that, okay? Especially when it contradicts FAA guidelines, okay, that would put this in jeopardy. So there's a lot of things here that just are plain didn't do his homework.
So
Okay.
Chairman, do we know why he wrote this bill? I don't understand why. Do you know where this is coming from?
I can't say in a public forum.
Does Truro need funding for their infrastructure and they want to hit air?
This is about climate mitigation. His concern is about climate change, and one of the things that the 5 airports that responded out on the Cape that are in his district, and one of the things that he'll see in the letter that the managers will be sending out is our industry is trying, understands that there are challenges, climate issues, and we're working very hard on a federal, state, and local level. As you are well aware, the FAA is working on sustainable fuels, lower carbon emissions, less fossil fuel dependent. The state has a very robust sustainability program. Aeronautics Division has provided airports with solar powered airfield mowing equipment and other programs. And then on local level, like we are changing all of our lighting on the airfield to LED. We recently did an upgrade on our lightings in our system. recycling programs. So what we're trying to educate Senator Sear is, our industry is working to move forward. The proposal that he has brought forward is just not responsible, and would devastate our industry here in Massachusetts.
All right, 2 more points. So the airports on the Cape, they're not in support of this bill, right, Chris? Okay.
They're not.
No,
I'm wondering
no.
if we should also maybe, since we're a city-owned airport, should we maybe have CC, have the mayor, also support with a letter? It could be the same template, I don't know. But we're a city-owned airport, maybe the mayor should also submit something. I think we should.
Sure, I can definitely ask him and generate a letter for him if that people like to submit that.
Yeah, and I think more to chime in, Kate, the merrier this
Yeah,
thing
absolutely.
be, because this thing needs to be not only stopped, it needed to be stomped. Okay.
I know from my experience with the chamber dealing with the state legislature and certain, when it's in committee, doesn't mean it's going to come out of committee. It can get stuck there, but we don't want to take any chances. I get it. So I'm in support of what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the, we'll work on it. And I've got to make a few more calls. I might even call Jack Pelton at EAA, get him involved in it too. Okay. To make sure that the word's out, because what happens here is, you give an inch and they take a mile, and that's what I'm a little afraid of. We're such a fragile industry right now, with the cost of fuel going up these days. We don't need this. So anyhow, with that, I think I had my motion seconded, right?
You did.
Do we need just do we need a roll call vote, Chris?
Yes.
Yes.
We do. So
Yeah.
Chairman Gannett,
Yes.
Commissioner Keith,
Yes.
Commissioner Phelan.
Yes.
Okay. I would also like to propose a second motion for the airport managers to send a letter to Mr. Sear clearly stating our position as a commission and an airport. So do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote, Chris?
Chairman Gannett,
Yes.
Commissioner Keith,
Yes.
Commissioner Phelan.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, folks. It's hopefully to your point, Kate, and I did talk as Chris said, talk to Vilas too, and he doesn't give it much hope. It's just so scary, a thing that, we just can't take any chances with this. So, okay. Moving on to our standard agenda items. If there's no more discussion, I don't think. Okay. ASG engineering update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, good evening. All right. It's a quick update on some of the projects the ASG has been involved with, helping the airport out. The airfield drainage improvements, that project has been closed out. So not much report on that. The reconstruction of runway 1533, same thing. That project has been closed out. The reimbursable agreement that you had to pay FAA for the PAPI design, that project is done and has been closed out. So that's nice. 3 projects off the books. We've been working with MassDOT and the airport on the self-service fuel farm. And where we're at on that is ASG has prepared a scope and fee, which is being reviewed by MassDOT and Chris. And right now we are currently developing some conceptual options, at the location for discussion, which we submitted to, I submitted to Chris this morning. And we're going to have a follow-up meeting most likely next Monday to discuss them a little further.
Okay, where are we at? Where do we at the timing of this thing? This is still a year or so off, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the fuel farm. The other project that we submitted a grant by May 1st was the environmental assessment for various projects. This is a project that includes looking at, I think it's 5 or 6 parcels at the end of runway 15. If you remember, there's obstruction on there, and the goal is to remove those obstructions so we reclaim that threshold. But we have to go through environmental assessments of those properties before we actually get an easement and before we start clearing. But this also includes environmental assessment for Taxway Bravo South.
Yep.
And for the South Quadrant development. So
Okay.
it was thought at the time, we were only going to do the easements, but the group talked to the airport, ASG, FAA, MassDOT, and said, hey, you know, you got Taxway Bravo South coming up. You're going to have to do some sort of environmental for that. So why not include it? So basically, that's what this project's about. That project won't probably start until July, until we know we have a grant offer in place.
Okay.
Okay. The building demo project, this is the offsite building demo program, the noise program.
Yep.
Project basically done, grass is growing. The contractor Encore submitted their final invoice. There are some errors on it that I'm trying to get them corrected, and they just haven't been totally responsive. So I just keep reaching out to them, finding out what's going on. The big project, the exciting one, is the apron project, Hotel Sierra over there.
Yep.
Which that continues to move forward. We are having, we're having some challenges with some things out there, but we are working them out, and we'll be continued going forward.
And Chris, the 2:30, sir, May 27th, 2:30 is still on, correct?
That is, yes, the groundbreaking ceremony.
Groundbreaking. Okay. I don't have much on the ALP update. I don't know if I need to keep this on here anymore, Chris, or not, or just remind ourselves that I want to get the CAD files from Stan Tech.
We're still waiting for the signed documents from FAA and MassDOT. We haven't gotten those back yet.
Okay. And then the South Quadrant development, we were just helping Chris with a future hangar development, doing a little layout over there.
Yeah, and that has to coincide with our Bravo South, okay? Because that is going to, Bravo South ultimately will be feeding that South Quadrant development.
Yes, we take that into consideration. Anything that we, throw a figure together down that area, we make sure it's in line with what's on the ALP and Taxway Bravo South. So
yeah, and one of the things, Craig, I can't understand, why is that that ramp down there so low? It seems like it's in a hole.
Which ramp you're talking?
The grade on that, it seems like it's about probably 10 feet below where it needs to be.
South D-arm, Craig.
Yeah, on the arming ramp.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that one.
It just looks like, who put that there? It just doesn't look right. It looks like you could bring in a ton of filler, or when we do move things around, that it looks like that whole thing needs to be popped up a bit, And
it might, you never know until you start actually, when you start really getting into the details, you never know where you might have to lift it up or whatever, just for drainage.
When you go down there and look at it, you kind of scratch your head and saying, man, that doesn't really look right, So, okay.
So that's all I have. If anyone has any questions on any of the projects, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Okay, Craig. And my favorite question, or my second favorite question, the buildings, Chris. What are we going to do with those buildings? How's that working out?
So I will. I'll address that in the next agenda item.
Okay, very good.
Have it up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Craig. Okay. Operational stats, Chris.
Sure. So all of you have a copy of our monthly stats for our May meeting today. Pleased to report our aircraft operations continue to be much higher. They're up over 110% of April compared to April of 2020. Obviously, April 2020, we were in the real thick of COVID-19 and shutdowns, but still comparing that to previous years, we were still up. Year to date, right now for a calendar year, our aircraft operations are up 40%. So we're doing really well on that front. In regards to fuel flowage, our avgas flowage is up 14%. We've actually surpassed the total avgas gallons flowage of last fiscal year compared to this fiscal year. So right now, what will happen over the next month and a half beats the number from last year. So that's good news on that.
That's good that our Ross Aviation folks are helping with that. So that's good. So
yep, absolutely. And the flight school activity and our tenants flying and buying fuel, that's all good. So
All good stuff.
and the last item, the Jet A, our flowage is still down 13%. It's been trending in the right direction. That number, we're closing that gap. And I think that next month we'll see that gap closed even more.
Is the flowage off at Gulfstream or Retrix?
It's more Retrix. And we've been working closely with Kevin Bradley, the general manager, on outreach and efforts. Actually, the Marine helicopter unit, they just flew in to have dinner at Tobacco. It's their favorite restaurant in New England. So they were training up north and they stop here on their way back to their base in New Jersey, and they buy fuel and they buy dinner. So,
and I was at Tobacco, I don't know, a week or two ago, and I was talking to him and said, hey, you got to get your buddies to come here, so and don't forget to buy fuel when you're here. So yeah, there was a matter of fact, the guy is here, here's a patch, and he puts a patch on my shoulder of whatever he was, and I got it in my truck. So
that's
I think
cool.
It's great stuff, Chris, and it's good, it's great stuff for the airport.
And one other item is the airport revenues. Year to date, we're up 13% compared to last fiscal year. So hopefully we'll continue to finish strong and our revenues will be up compared to last year. So
yeah, good. Okay, Chris. And one of the things, you might want to, since 2020 was, I keep forgetting that even 2020 was, that we're in 2021, but 2019 is, all aerospace is basing everything off of the 2019 results. It'd be interesting to see how we compare to, in a normal period of 2019.
I have a couple more items, if that's okay.
Sure, please.
Chairman, you brought this up earlier, the commemorative Air Force, June 16th through the 20th we have coming up. We have our airport tabletop exercise is scheduled for June 11th, and that will be in the Aero Design hangar. Also with the ASMP update, we received our UHF radios. They're here. So Jeff and I have them and been using them. Our HVAC rooftop unit is going to be delivered in the next week or two and will be installed in early June. Right now, we're working with the crane company because they have to use a 110-foot crane to lift this very large HVAC unit onto the roof. So there's some FAA MassDOT requirements because of the height of the crane. We're doing that. And the last item, Chairman Gana, the demo of the two buildings. The bid is out on the street. We had site visits from 4 companies already, and the bid opening is May 20th. And we've been talking with MassDOT, and hopefully the numbers come in well for us, and MassDOT will issue a grant. The bidders are aware that this work has to be completed by June 30th. So
okay, good. And Chris, one last thing, that must make our friends at Air Methods, our tenants, very happy down there, I would suppose.
They are, yes, they're very much looking forward to having that those buildings taken down because of the safety concerns with.
Yes, and the other thing too with that, Chris, Air Methods, where are we at? I can't remember. Did we not renew that contract, or where are we at with that thing?
Yep, actually, we finalized the lease with the help of Megan Bristol at the City Law Department, and that has been submitted to Cameron at Air Methods. And so we finished that up. We were waiting for a couple things from Air Methods. We got that information. So,
okay,
I suspect that will be squared away. It's a 3-year lease, as you recall, with 2 1-year options. So.
Good. And I think, how is their business?
They've been flying quite a bit. They were flying today, and they've been busy. I actually talked to one of the pilots last week, and they've been pretty steady. So as more people travel on the roadways, unfortunately, there's more accidents, and that they're responding to.
The good news is we now have a regional. It's something great for the region, having that medevac there, So that I think it's a great thing. So I'm just hoping it, it's good for the airport, but it's good for the region. If you ever need it, boy, it's good to have it. So all good stuff, Chris. Thank you. Okay, airport noise program, Chris.
Sure. So I do have an update on something that happened actually this week. So in regards to the FAA land reuse plan, we were ready to formally kick off this project actually this month. And there's an issue with the grant that we were going to use for this project. We were going to use an existing grant, and FAA informed us that it was an older grant and it's almost up on the 4 years for this grant. So we're going to have to utilize a grant that we received for the noise compatibility study. If you recall, we did a grant application that was submitted. We anticipate receiving a grant for that, for the noise compatibility study update. We hope that'll come in July, August timeframe. We'll get that project underway, and then we'll restart the FAA land reuse plan and fund it under that grant. So George Pantelli called us a couple days ago about it, and he followed up today, sharing the process that we're going to utilize moving forward.
Okay.
So that's the update there. And that's all I have for the commission.
Okay, so with that, what I like to do is make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws 30A, Section 21, to consider the lease of real property, parcels 1A, 1B off Airport Road. In addition, to discuss the two proposals that we had, that we saw here earlier. And I believe that the anything in open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of us, so they will not be put into the public. So the commission will not reconvene in the open session at the conclusion of the executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? No. Okay, roll call, Chris, please.
Chairman Gannett,
Yes.
Commissioner Keith,
Yes.
Commissioner Phelan.
Yes.
Okay, with that, the motion has passed and we will now enter into an executive session. Greg and
Before,
Ruth, thank
actually,
you.
before, oh, I'm sorry, Chairman Guy, I just want to confirm with Peter, we're going into executive session. Megan